before I talk about this bill, I'd just like to say just a word about the venue, and I think it's a shame and a disgrace that this hearing wasn't held in the larger room. There were 50 to 75 citizens standing outside the door who were precluded from hearing the testimony that was going on due to the room size. And these proceedings and all legislative hearings should be as open as possible. And while it's not always possible to move to a larger facility, today it was, and that didn't happen.
Well, I'll say on behalf of the chairman, I think, I believe that he was a little bit taken off guard by the size of the crowd that showed up this morning. And so in his defense, I think he was not prepared for that. Sure, that aspect of it, but we do apologize for space limitations. But I'm sure as we go through this process, if we need to find another hearing room, that can probably be arranged.
Sure. Okay. And I would just like to mention that myself personally and 30 of my friends called yesterday the chairman's office and requested a larger venue, and that didn't happen.
Okay.
Well, it's 30 phone calls.
30 phone calls.
32 capacity.
I will certainly mention that to the chair and ask that, you know, as we go through, that the size of the group can be accommodated in the future.
Sure, I understand that it's not always possible, but today, you know, there are other committee rooms that are larger. Secondly, I would just like to say about this committee, I find it ironic that the majority of the representatives that serve on this committee who are here today, who represent the people, didn't stay long enough to hear the comments of the people. And I think that too is a shame. And I would like to thank my personal representative, Mr. Sessler, for doing that, for hanging around for the duration. About this bill, I applaud the steps that we're taking in this bill. I think it's moving in the right direction, but my applause is a bit muted. The Second Amendment does say that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and you know, I'm crazy enough or simple enough to believe shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. Every time I have to submit to the government for permission to bear arms, as a law-abiding citizen who has never committed a crime, see fit, that's an infringement. And you know, this bill simply isn't enough. It doesn't go far enough. It loosens the noose of tyranny, but it doesn't take it from my neck. And that's what I'm seeking, to get it removed completely. It's a shame that I must be here today to argue for the return in the first place, but I will continue to show up and argue for the restoration of the rights, my Second Amendment rights. I and the friends that I represent, we're not going to be satisfied with a little less tyranny, and we won't be placated with a step in the right direction. While I do applaud this as a step in the right direction, it's simply not enough. And because you have taken this step in the right direction, I would just urge you to go the rest of the way and propose legislation to restore all Second Amendment rights, and propose legislation that would make null and void all legislation that limit those rights. And the final thing I would like to say is that if there's anyone here, any representative who is left, who actually believes that concealed carry laws discourage or prohibit criminals from concealing firearms, I would like to know who you are today so I can support your opponent in your next election. So, with that, I'm done.